like the whole raid. I was like, holy shit, my
Yeah.
friends actually are killing me. Like that's insane. Um, yeah, I agree with what Lucky said. A lot of the fight, like the only memorable fight for me was fighting Uber Lilith for 5 straight days and dying 500 times in the beginning, just getting absolutely blasted by her. And I really miss things like that. I understand that the direction of the game is trying to appeal to everybody, and Uber Lilith, a fight like that appeals to so few people. But not having a single encounter like that in the game, I do think takes some of the value away. To Barricade's specific idea of Diablo just actually deleting your character, I mean that's how it is for me every day that I play. That's how hardcore works. So if we're gonna do that in softcore, then the hardcore thing needs to be even worse. Like if Diablo rips you in half, he needs to like delete all of your characters, or even worse, it just straight up deletes your account and you have to buy a new one. Like we have to
My
up the stakes for
RMXX
hardcore.
just subscribed with
My deep end
Prime.
is your shallow end, and you just
22
send
is a
right off in the
charm.
ocean. It's like,
Yeah,
see you
I
boys,
mean, just
your
you
gear's
got to
gone.
buy a new game. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to buy a new game. Yeah, that's actually hilarious. No, it's sick. And you're right. You know, in the hardcore perspective, you don't want to be too punishing, but this is hilarious. You guys make great points, and I kind of totally agree. Like the personality conversation is huge, but Path of Exile, we're gonna throw it in there, right? Their bosses feel so much better, and there's a reason for that, right? Even if you don't hear the voice command before, Eater of Worlds slaps your box off screen because you didn't hear it because he was too far away. At least there's an opportunity that in the game it actually has it, and you as a player can react instead of like lightning spires come out and congratulations, you're back at the lobby. Like it feels bad, right? So Path of Exile does a great job with bosses, and I'd like to see more of that in Diablo 4. If you guys have played it, cool. I don't think you played much, yeah. Path of Exile,
Yeah, I played through like most of the campaign.
but not like you didn't do like Eater of Worlds, Searing Exarch, that kind of thing. Maybe
No, no.
not yet. Yeah, POE 2. Woo-hoo. Yeah, I agree. I think the Diablo 4 could use more. Totally.
Yep.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you kind of had a good segue there. I think you brought it to the next point there, Rax. Not sure if you were trying to, but it was good. We have a list here, guys, that we're kind of going through. So you had a chance to. This is going out to Rax to start off to do an interview with the devs, which is pretty awesome. And there's some questions you couldn't ask. And one of the questions on your list, as I was kind of like going through it as you were reading it too, was who's the target audience? And I think for me, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. It's casual oriented, right? And so, what do you guys think about the target audience? Do you think it's casual oriented, or do you think it's for the blasters? Should it take a month to get a character to min max? Should you be able to do it in a weekend? What are your thoughts? It's kind of like a big, vague, generic question, but where are you at with this one?
Yeah.
I think
Whoever, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lucky.
Cooley, go.
Cooley, go.
I think
Alphabetical
yeah,
order.
like I think it's probably they want the same they're going for the same audience as like PoE, and it's all the same players, but I think that Riker actually hit the nail on the head, and even went as far as to post this in the Diablo partner Discord where he complimented the devs for finally giving Diablo 4 some sort of unique identity. And I think that's been something that Riker's been on for a while about, like, that D4 didn't feel like it had an identity among the ARPG community. So I don't think that they're really going for like a dumbed down version of these other games. I don't think that that's really their goal. I think that they want it to be simple, like a lot simpler to understand than say PoE. Like it took me a little while to realize, oh shit, it doesn't really matter what character I start with. Like I got the same skill tree no matter what. It just matters where I start.
Right.
Like
Sure.
and it's all so complicated that I think that they're trying to simplify that to be, that's sort of, in my opinion, one of the Diablo the Diablo staples, I guess, is like a simpler skill tree to some degree. So they're trying to simplify that, but I think that they still want that depth in character builds. I think that might be something that they're still going for. So I think they want both. I think they want it to be easy for people to start up and build a character and get to level 100. But I think to push it, and we see this in this season with the pits, that's when you really need to min max your build and understand the fine mechanics about the game and like really what pushes it to the next level.
Yeah.
Solid.
So, it's good points. So, the reason why I think Diablo 4 is being successful now and they weren't successful earlier, they kind of alluded to this. I think it was on one of their campfire chats right after season one. To me, as I as I get further and further into this and I watch like the development of all these games and what the audiences are saying about the different games, it really always just boils down to one thing: how fun is your game to play? It's all about fun. And one consistent theme that I've noticed about these games is whenever you make everything accessible to a lot of people, and a lot of times even if you overshoot something, you almost never get penalized. So for example, when they make leveling easier, when they make a horrible miscalculation and ball lightning is way too strong, when anything like that happens, people are usually having a lot of fun. The number of people that are upset about it are dwarfed by the people that are just blasting with it. We saw it a few days ago. They announced a big goblin event, and the goblins are nowhere to be found. It's not the March of the Goblins. It's like, where's Waldo, except for where's the goblin? You know, you can't find any. But then they release a patch and they just start vomiting goblins everywhere, and everybody's having fun. I think Diablo is very, very focused on the fun aspect and is not as concerned with making the most mechanically difficult, hard to build characters out there. So what I'm expecting for them going forward is for them to try to add depth while keeping fun at the top of their radar. I think at the end of the day, Diablo 4 is about making money, which is not an inherently evil thing. But the way that they do that is to have people just have fun all the time logging into the game. And there's a huge demographic that does not think logging into Path of Exile, in theory, crafting that huge tree is fun.
Yeah, Cooley and Rax, but they hit the nail on the head with a lot of the points that I want to make too. And easy to learn, difficult to master was a theme that Cooley had mentioned, and Rax as well. And Barricade, when you posed the question, you mentioned, do we think it's casual or hardcore, blaster friendly, and what's the target audience for Diablo 4? And I really don't like the casual versus hardcore conversation. It really rubs me the wrong way whenever that is the premise of what Diablo 4's target audience should be. Diablo 4's target audience should be somebody that wants to escape into the world of Sanctuary and play out whatever power fantasy they want to do. We can all have different goals for a season when we go into a new season. And as long as we're able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, playing the character that we want to play. If I want to throw lightning bolts, I want to be able to throw lightning bolts. I want to be as good as any other character in the game. If I want to rain down arrows, or if I just want to be a thorns barb that gets hit and the enemies kill themselves, like that's what the target audience should be for Diablo 4. And we should all be able to get out, whether you're a beginner or an advanced player, we should all be able to get out of it what we want. And I think that should always be the target audience for Diablo 4 and any Diablo game in general. So
entirely disagree. I think he's got some good points. Like you can't, I guess you can if you want. You can try to dismiss the conversation, but it's real. People consider themselves casual because they play a little bit, and some people play excessive amounts like others. That's ridiculous, and that's just what you do. So you break it down. But I get your point, and I totally agree. Like a conversation we have all the time on my side is, hey, how deep in the pit does this build go? It's like this is pretty relevant to like the game today. How deep does that build go in the pit? It's like, well, maybe the question should be like, how deep have you gone in the pit with the character you have, right? Because you're really only going up against yourself. And we're kind of getting into the itemization conversation here, but oftentimes people try to like, as an example, what's Cooley doing out there? How deep has Cooley gone in the pits with that build? I want to be better than Cooley with that build. And so you try to mirror, mimic, and do better, right? And so you may not be able to do that if you're a casual player with less hours, or, RNG hits you real lucky and you get the best roll in the gear. So I guess that's why I broke down the question that way, but I get your point, and I totally agree with you. It should be your journey with the items in Sanctuary, and let's see what you do. Play the power fantasy you want. I totally agree.
There isn't really a leaderboard yet. This
it's not an esport, right? It's not an esport.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the unofficial leaderboard, I think. I mean, perpetuated by I think Rob and people like that. He features builds on his channel all the time from people around in the community that like have pushed the next highest tier on this class or whatnot. And I think that's sort of the unofficial leaderboard at this point, is like, what tier pit have you pushed on your build? And I don't know, I kind of like that to some degree with the end game. Like, they don't quite have a leaderboard yet, but I mean, how easy would that be? Like to set this up, it's just like this character or these characters right here in a team pushed this tier pit. Like, that's it, and that be that. Like that's I think it's really
There's-
cool. It's also has added sort of an unofficial end game chase. I shouldn't say unofficial. Pit is kind of like an end game chase now for D4, but like it's added an unofficial leaderboard to it, which I think is kind of cool.
There's like 3 awesome points you just made there, and I could interject, and we could talk about all 3 things. One of which is like, should there be a leaderboard? Do you need SSF because of that? And how do you make it fair? Like these are great conversations to get into, which is why I want to talk to you guys about it, because I've got positions on it. But do you guys want to talk about leaderboard first, going to itemization SSF later? What do you guys want to get into?
Yeah, I'm not following
Yeah.
the script at all, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah, we're just you don't have to. It's just there, right? So we go. So what do you think?
Yeah. So to tie the ideas together, this is something that I continue to preach, and it's just not happening, and I really don't understand it. So to bridge the 2 topics of casual and endgame versus does Diablo 4 actually have an endgame with the pit, and what are people actually doing with it? I understand that for the last year, the Diablo 4 team has mostly been playing catch up, and it's been in kind of some of the worst ways ever that you never want to do in development, right? You don't ever want to make something and then realize, oh, I got to remake it again. Oh, I got to redo resistances. I got to redo armor. I got to redo items. Oh, these Uber uniques that we made, Ring of the Starless Skies, this ring sucks, so I got to redo it. So they're trying to, again, build the fun into the game, get all the masses in there, and they finally are starting to do that. So I understand why their development has gone the way that it's gone. But I think there's a huge missing piece in this game where they have almost entirely abandoned all competitive aspects of the game in every way. Not having a leaderboard in your only endgame activity, and I don't consider the gauntlet an endgame activity, to me is just a mistake. Kind of like what Barricade said, whenever somebody, like I'll tell people, I think pound for pound, Double Swing Dust Devil's Barb is the best build in the game. And the next question that people ask me is, okay, I hear you, Rax. What level pit can it clear? And then I say, wait a minute, who cares? If you can clear pit 61, you've beaten the game. If you can kill the Uber bosses, you've beaten the game. They go, well, I want to push the pit. Okay, for what though? There's no leaderboard. There's a title. There's some titles you can get, I guess. But there's really, Blizzard has completely removed the entire competitive aspect of the end game of Diablo. I really, really think that they're alienating a core part of the people who play their games. I'm genuinely shocked that it's still completely absent from the game. So to your question, should they have a leaderboard, for the end game activities? I think you have to. I can't believe that it's not in the game right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. And here's to go on that a little bit, maybe expand it, but also to not. It's gonna be weird. I'll just say it. All right.
Do it. Do it.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I think like Blizzard not actually stating who the best people are or whatnot, but the community taking over and highlighting it is probably the best thing that can happen for the end game, as long as they still pay attention to it. So for example, like it's cool for content creators, the community in general, if there isn't necessarily a leaderboard in the game, but we know that this person has defeated this tier pit. Or if you take it back to Diablo 2, right? We have this thing called the DFC, the Diablo Fighting Championship. And it's all high, like the highest ranked PvP players in the world based on data that we've collected, rule sets developed over time. That's not in Diablo 2. Like, it's not something that they can see the ranks of. It's something that the community says, okay, Blizzard, don't worry about it. Like, we'll handle this. And suddenly, I mean, that has a lot of attention on it. It's the biggest, it's I'm not trying to toot, but it's the biggest D2 PvP organization in D2. Like it's the, like, oh, who's the DFC champ? Like, who's got the belt right now? Like, that's sort of the thing. And how would Blizzard do that? That it's a lot of side work for them, to manage something like that. Instead, just focus on making the game better, focus on balance and those things so the community can take it over. I think there's a fair point to doing that too. I mean, granted, seeing that sort of thing in game, seeing what the highest pit clear is, I think would be cool. But like, as far as leaderboards go, I think I'm not sure if in-game leaderboards are like are as highly rated as a lot of people chalk them up to be, but I could be wrong. I never played Diablo 3 as much either, and I know that like there was some stuff in there as well. Was that a big thing? Like climbing leaderboards there?
If Diablo 3 didn't have their leaderboards, the number of people who played it would have been cut down outrageously. The Diablo 3 didn't have anything going for it. Greater Rifts were fun, but they were really never iterated on over 10 years. The only thing was pushing the top 1,000 leaderboard of your class. There was nothing else to do. So it would have been detrimental.
So I really dislike anything that takes the player out from the game in order to get, a vibe or a sense of what is going on in the game that I play. I extremely dislike the fact that we don't have any sort of trade options in game. We have that one trade channel. I don't like that we have to go somewhere else to find what the leaderboards are. I don't like that we don't have social features. Yeah. It's all of this detracts from strong community within the game, because then you're sent somewhere else. You're not playing the game. You don't have the game up, and you lose that sense of we're all playing a game together. And the whole way that Diablo 4 was pitched was as this big massive online experience where you're all together. You're going to be running across someone else, and you're going to be fighting these awesome world bosses together, and you have the Helltide and all these fun things that you can do together. But we're all just kind of doing them ourselves separately, and then you can't even find out, who's doing what well in the game itself. You have to go somewhere else to find it, and I just think that that's so counterintuitive, and there's so many things that the game is lacking that should be in the game, like a leaderboard, like Rax mentioned, that I think is a really missed opportunity, and I hope that gets fixed soon.
So let me throw one more thing in here to what Cooley said. So Cooley said, if Blizzard does the leaderboards, that's nowhere near as cool as all the community stuff. So I think everybody here, especially Barricade is like the number one cheerleader he's like the main character of Earth over here. He's like the number one, he's like the number one event guy. I don't think these things are like exclusive to each other. I think the community, any diehard passionate community, can find awesome ways to make amazing events for PvP, or just because there's a pit leaderboard, it's not stopping Woody or something from making, hey guys, we're going to make our own little competition in the pit. These are the rules. You got till the end of the weekend, whoever posts the best recorded clear. I don't think this stops the community's creativity at all. But for some of the reasons Lucky mentioned, and just for the fact that, just for the ease of it, or just for the sake of something for you to monitor and challenge yourself against, not having a basic feature like a leaderboard or a ladder race. Like, for example, in World of Warcraft, I used to play it religiously. I don't play it anymore. But when there's like a race, I'm very interested in it. I'll watch it, even though I don't play it, just because it's kind of exciting just to watch. They don't even have that, and they're the ones who invented the damn thing in Diablo 2. How do we go 20 years in the future and somehow go backwards? Wait, it doesn't even make any sense.
On that point,
missing shoelaces because you just lost a whole boot there, buddy. Good for you.
How cool would this be, Rax? Rax Antrax is the first player to defeat Uber Lilith this season. Yeah. That goes to the whole. That gets shout out to the whole game. I just cheers. That's the kind of stuff that brings a community together. You remember a season. Oh, that was the season that I was the one that was the first to defeat Uber Lilith, and something like that. And you get more personality. Everyone is more connected when there are things like that. I think PoE does that with a couple different things on a new season launch. They'll do announcements for who was the first to do this task, and I just think that's so fun.
I think we should have at least got a special title if you killed Uber Lilith in season 0. All right, that shit was hard.
No stagger though, no stagger cheese. But go. I think Rax got a point there. Go ahead.
So, you want to know something that I think is extremely underutilized? It's kind of like Lucky's point, But so, okay, Path of Exile announces who reaches first to enter the zone, who is first to 90, first to 100, first to kill a boss. You want to know what would be so cool is if Blizzard, they did this with, again, I think it's AQ in World of Warcraft, where the whole server had to come together to like open the gates of AQ.
Yes.
What if, I don't know, whenever the first person on hardcore kills Uber Lilith, everyone for the rest of the season gets 5% extra XP. Everybody, you just get that buff forever. So then it's like, oh, Cooley killed Uber Lilith, have 5% XP on us multiplicative for the rest of the season. Or Blizzard could issue a challenge and say, all right, guys, listen, if you can kill Uber Lilith 1 million times this weekend, we will give you a fire horse. We'll give everybody a fire horse. Go kill Lilith. Now all of a sudden the community is like, all right, what are the 5 best Uber Lilith builds? Okay, do we go in parties of 4? Because then we can kill her real fast. Oh, by the way, we made Uber Lilith drop more items while you're doing this event. Oh, congratulations. If you guys do this challenge, we'll take 10% off the expansion price or something. Anything, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's cost
man.
Blizzard money.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Blizzard think of like 1,000 of these community things where everybody is actually invested in what is going on in the game? Kill 50 million goblins in the next 10 days. And we'll give you a goblin pet that follows you around and picks up gold for you. I mean, fucking anything, man.
They ought to be. I hope Blizzard's tuning in and writing this down right now. This is some idea dropping right there. This absolute gold, certain pun intended.
Yeah. I think we all hope that they are, right? To your point earlier, they've had a hell of a dev cycle, right? They've been through some shit. And like, I get it. So maybe they're just refactoring the res, they're refactoring armor, they're making items that are kind of interesting because Gore's devastating grips are actually more like tickle fingers than it is devastating. It's like they've got to rework what's in the game. So I'm with you. I want this. I'm the cheerleader, like I said. I want this more than anybody. But those are the kinds of things that get me excited. And I'll just kind of chime in on the end point here. I do think Diablo 4, like Lucky said, should have events that are in the game. I don't want to go to a third-party service to get to it. It's a no-brainer. It should be there. Leaderboards are great in my opinion. I'm not necessarily a competitive guy, main like with all my main time, but I do like to compete against other people. I find it interesting because, as we said earlier, after you get to a certain threshold in the game, you kind of beat the content. And so I agree. We're making a lot of points that are cohesive, and I totally agree with most of them. I would love to have that, and that's why leaderboard needs to be there. Right? Like Cooley said, we can make our own events all day long, but there should be the official thing. I kind of shy away from non-official activities, which is why I don't play like PD2. It's just not necessarily mainly supported, but kind of a deviation there. But I think you guys had some good points. But
you know what would really help with that too is instance joining in the game. This is something that sort of people have been talking about with like party finders and stuff. And I'm not sure if the dev team like knows the best way to go about it, and I'm not sure if we do either, right? But here's my biggest gripe with it all is that there's no way to really instance join people who are doing something, right? So so in Diablo 2, for example, right? With PvP, it was great because if I wanted to duel somebody or if I wanted to put on an event, I could create a game. And granted, this goes back to the dreaded lobbies of Diablo 2, which I think the people have moved away from in recent history. But I mean, they were useful to some degree. You could create a game that was in your instance, right? And people could join it to do that activity. You wouldn't run into any other random players, unless they could crack the password of your game or something, which is a whole other story in and of itself. But you could join up in a game and you could find that person in the Bloodmoor and you could go duel them. You could go rush that person. You could help them beat their instance of the game or whatnot. Now you have to add somebody to your friends list. Like if I want to duel somebody, duel somebody in the community, and like especially this gets especially hilarious if people are shit talking and they got some beef going on or whatnot. You know what they got to do before they duel each other? They got to add them. They got to add to their friends list so that they can go and join their game. It's like it's so strange. Like
or be in a clan,
or the clan, right? Exactly. Like there should be some sort of instance joining where it's just like I can create. I'm in my instance of this game. It's out there. Someone can join it and do what I'm doing. I mean, it's almost there in the game. You have to switch over to somebody's world when you join their party. But like, how
I'm gonna
much better would that be if I could just broadcast what
really,
I'm doing?
really good. I got a couple points here. Just I guess we're talking about PvP. We all know that the social layer is non-existent. Basically, could be so much better. So let's just navigate into PvP for a second. I'm not sure how like into it you guys are, but for me, I've always had this thing. Like I think that PvP in Diablo is so cool because of Diablo 2, right? Hey, take my portal, man. No problem. I'll take you over to like I don't know the World Stone Keep. I get in there and I watch the guy take my portal, and then the second he goes through, I've already got 5 hydras down. I press the swords, bang, we're hostile. That guy's clapped to pick up his gear. Away I go. That's the old Wild West of Diablo 2. That's Sanctuary for me. There was some dubious shit going down, but it made it fun. Like that's the heart pumping, and oh my god, we got to move. So how does that translate in Diablo 4? Well, here's a concept. Let me see how this hits the wall with you guys. What if Diablo 4 had like actually PvP arenas? 1v1, 2v2, 4v4, clan v clan activities. If the clan's winning, there's like a coliseum in the game of Sanctuary. People can like go there. You see your clan kind of banner waving in the wind, right? You can see which clan dominates the area.
Yeah.
And if you go in there, you go to the coliseum, you kind of ride in on your horse. You click on a chair, you get a free roaming camera in the arena. You can see people fighting. You could bet on these fights. If you win, you could get like cosmetic rewards. If you're a champion of PvP, you get some like cosmetic stuff. Nothing account stuff, no pay to win, none of that shit. But just like, wow, that guy must be really good. He's got that gladiator gear. That sounds kind of cool. That was step 1. We can discuss that in a second. Step 2, I loved Elden Ring. If I blood mark myself, I can free roam the world. People can invade any bit of my content, whether it's Lilith, a Nightmare Dungeon, a Helltide, and all of a sudden, you know, Lucky is now in my region. I'm like, oh shit! So here comes Lucky, right? And he's throwing daggers like crazy, and I don't know that because he just plays at a whole nother level, and I'm down on my ass. Okay, but if he beats me, he gets a reward for doing that thing. If I beat him, I get additional rewards. The idea is like bring some of that threat back into the world, right? What do you guys think about some of those takes? Go ahead.
All right, lots to unpack there. All right, so but first of all, with the Coliseum idea, the arena, bro, there's mobile games that have done this for years. Like the arena is not hard. Like I mean, it goes back to that instance joining of just like let's say there's some special vendor in town that you go to, and you say I want to join a 4v4, a 3v3, 2v2, 1v1, and you just queue up. Right, like, and it finds 3 other people to put on your team. It gets another team of 4, and it says entering the arena, like, and boom,
Yeah.
there you go. Like, it's so simple that like mobile games have done it for years. I can't believe it's not in a lot more games like the PvP arena. It's a big chase, I think, for a lot of people. But as far as you also had mentioned pay to win, we might want to table this one because this has a lot to it. But there's always going to be that, in my opinion. There's always going to be people saying that as long as there's free trade in the game. I think free trade's a good thing. So,
I understand. I understand
you see where I'm at with it. If you can trade items, people are always going to make the argument for pay to win, regardless of how true it is. But, there is that. And as far as the blood marking yourself and you're kind of hostile to the entire world, I love it. I love that. I hate in D4 that we have to go to these chaotic fields of hatred where you really don't know who you're going to run into. It's almost that was what they were going for. But I've said this for a long time. The fields of hatred is a lazy way to approach PvP. It's like lazy and unorganized. It's just like, all right, if you're blood marked or if you're doing this, like random people can come up. You can't have an organized duel with anybody because somebody else could be in the instance and come up and PK you. Like it's kind of like, it doesn't make any sense. But if they made it so that if you blood marked yourself wherever you go in the world, when you run into other players that have also blood marked themselves, you fight them. Like, I think that would be great. Like you're just hostile to other players if you join this instance. Like if you blood mark yourself, and anyone else who has will fight you as well. Like, I think that's great.
Good. What do you guys think?
So I'm going to be a little bit of a negative Nancy on this one. So first of all, I love PvP. I grinded Gladiator many times, High Warlord, Hero of the Alliance, all that stuff. I lived, eaten, everything PvP was my favorite thing in World of Warcraft, like dueling and Diablo 2. I think I like the ideas, like all of these ideas. I wish they were in Diablo 4. if I was a betting man, I would say we're getting practically none of this. I would say maybe we could get, out of everything that we've talked about, I'd say maybe we can challenge someone to a duel. That might be a thing where it puts a little ring around you and you have a duel. But I don't think it's going to happen for a couple of reasons. First of all, Blizzard tried to implement Diablo 4 into the game, and I agree that it's not that there isn't an interest about PvP being in Diablo 4. It's, as Cooley said, the implementation of what the PvP was did not seem to attract very many people. And remember how the development cycle of Diablo 4 has gone over the last year. It's playing catch up. We haven't even gotten the PvE thing right. Like right now, 1 year after the game is launched, PvE feels kind of good, but we're really still missing, as Lucky said earlier, so many core functions of the actual game. In one of the developer interviews, I can't remember. It honestly might have been me. I can't. They all blend together. But I kind of asked them about the future of PvP, and the sentiment that I got from the developers is, well, we could work on PvP. Do you guys want us to work on PvP? Kind of saying, guys, we need to build an endgame system. We need to build enchanting systems that are much more interesting than tempering, bricking, and masterworking, just clicking upgrade 12 times. We don't even have a leaderboard for the pit. We don't even have a trade function. So I think it's a priority thing because the PvP community has been disengaged from Diablo 4 because of Blizzard's implementation and the way the development cycle has gone. I'm going to be absolutely shocked if they're allocating resources to build a coliseum and an arena system, even though I think it would be a cool idea.
Well, also, I've said this on my stream before too. I think that some ideas, PvP included, like that, they fall, their prioritization falls victim to survivor bias, like in a lot of the games. Like, so for example, the PvP community might have given up quickly on PvP if it's so far from being balanced that crowd isn't going to vote on those polls, isn't going to be vocal in what they're saying because you just lost them early, right? It's like, you know, the survivor bias, in case, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar, but it's like the things that don't survive for you to study are what you could look at to improve the greater feel of the entire game. Right. But if you're only studying the planes that come back with bullet holes that came back, you know what I mean? And you're saying, oh, let's put more armor where the bullet holes are, right? Like, you're not studying the planes that didn't come back where there wasn't armor, right? Or where there wasn't attention to the, you know, to the greater build of what's going on. So I think that in prioritizing that, and this is not, you know, specific to Blizzard devs, that I think oftentimes survivor bias takes over and what they focus on in the games. It's what the people that they're coming back for that stuff anyway. They haven't left your game. And you know, they're talking about these things. What about the people that left because it was so badly balanced or unbalanced that you didn't keep those players, you know? So I think that I would love to see them experiment with that sort of thing and to say, you know what, like, yeah, people aren't talking about this, but it would be cool. And this is a new groundbreaking thing that we could do, and let's just see how it goes. Let's see if it attracts people. Let's add some rewards to it. Yeah, you know, let's you know, insert whatever you want here. I think that whatever concept, be it PvP, be it something else, you throw it in there and you focus on it and you say, okay, let's allocate some resources to this and just see how it goes. The other stuff, people, the planes are coming back, right?
Yes.
For anyone familiar with the survivor bias, those planes are coming back. Like, good enough, right?
Lucky,
what
do you think, Lucky?
So I actually think I've done a lot of PvP in Diablo games. 4v4 GM was like one of my favorite things to do in Diablo 2 LOD days. I wasted more hours than I could count doing PvP in Diablo games. I actually think the launch state of PvP in Diablo 4 was incredibly impressive. I actually thought that you could have fun doing it. And that's so difficult in an ARPG to actually release a somewhat balanced PvP thing just right on launch. They gave it to us right away. So I'll say I was impressed. I'll say the ideas were fun, But I'm gonna. I agree 100% with Rax. It's just they're missing too many things in the game right now. Like you bring up queuing as a guild or a clan to go PvP against another clan. Why can't I queue up with my guild or clan to fight a world boss or a raid boss or something like that? Like those are the things that should be in the game first before we start fighting each other. It's unfortunate, but I really think that people that play ARPGs just 90% don't care about PvP. It's just not the core foundation of the game, what the players really care about. And that's not me. Like I love it, but I just think that the reason we're not seeing the devs paying any attention to it is because they know as well as anyone that there's just other things that we need to focus on. The community we're not going to spend all these man hours working on PvP for something that it's a niche part of ARPGs, and it's unfortunate, but I think that's just where the current state is. And there's so many more things we could do with PvE that are lacking right now. So
that's why I also like the greater point was instance joining, like, is I think where it all needs to start, because you're right. I think there's probably a greater amount of people who would rather queue up to do a world boss or rather queue up to do Lilith or whatnot. I think that's where it starts, and it can kind of bridge out from there. It also, if you do instance joining, where you have like just this list of things that I can queue up for, right? You get a feel of what people want to do, right? It's good for studying the game as well on the devs end. So I think you're right.
I think to put a bow tie on this piece here, I agree. The game needs more itemization, needs more interesting and diverse monster families and engaging fights to do. We need different nightmare dungeons, a reason to do nightmare dungeons. That's fun. I think Helltides are exciting now. They could be even better. There's a lot more things that have to happen before I see this grand Coliseum, but I still want that grand Coliseum. Okay, like get that in there. So
can I throw one more before we change topics? Can I throw one more thing in here? We haven't talked about the final boss of this idea really at all. There's something even more colossal that you would have to overcome in order to put this into Diablo 4. You would have to convince senior leadership that you should put it in Diablo 4. So let's take Cooley's example of survivor bias. When the whole board is looking at you and you're having a presentation about the things that you're going to make in the expansion, and you say, all right, well, we built this PvP thing, which I pretty much agree with what Lucky said. For what PvP was in Diablo 4, it's not the worst thing ever. You can go there and have a battle and collect the things and get some rewards. And it also didn't seem, I mean, now there's thorns, barbs, but it was more balanced than I thought it would be. So it wasn't even close to me to the worst thing that Diablo did on launch. But you're going to have to go to the board and say, you see all these cool ideas that I have? You're going to have to convince them that it's going to translate into revenue. And it's not just this will make you more money. It's this will make you more money than building this PvE thing. This will make you more money than expanding the shop in this way. And that boss, to overcome them, to get the green light to attempt this new idea, as you said, the planes with bullet holes, you got to study them and try something else. I don't know if the imagination is going to, I don't think you're going to be able to convince them that the imagination there is going to translate into more value than what they've already seen works. Like, imagine if you had to go give that presentation and convince them, it would be almost impossible.
Oh, I used to be a data guy. I'd do it no problem. So this is what I would do. I would pull the number of people that had stopped playing for the season after, they, and the last few things they did were a certain activity. Like, so for example, in the Abattoir of Zir, who stopped playing after they tried the Abattoir of Zir for the season? I was one of those people. I tried it like 3 or 4 times and I was like, yeah, fuck this. I was gone. Like, so pull people that did that. What was the last few activities that they did where they stopped playing, right? And then you bring that data to them and you say, this many people did this activity. They were interested in it and they stopped playing because of it. So therefore, we can make the argument for money and we can say, if we kept this percentage of people by making this 50% better, we have the opportunity to sell these people more cosmetics, to engage them. It's I think that's a start to it. All money conversations in that are often speculative. So it's more of just showing where the people are, because the people are where your money is at. So like showing the activities that people did before they stopped playing would be a great way to highlight the or to fight against the survivor bias.
Yeah, so like if I was a board member and you presented me that data, that everything that you said sounds perfect. We released this activity, people quit. Let's study what they did before they quit and see if did this activity cause them to quit, or was it burnout or whatever. But then we have to make the connection of somehow the new PvP idea is what's going to generate that result that you're looking for, of them still logging in. And that connection is
Right.
where I think you would lose, or not saying you specifically would lose, but where the conversation falls apart because of what Lucky said. It's kind of like, we like PvP, we like PvE, we like Elden Ring, we like all these different things, but every game it can't be made for every single kind of activity. And I really kind of agree with Lucky that I don't think they have built the bones of Diablo 4 to be a PvP game. I don't think that that data to the correlation of new PvP activities are the answer is easy to draw.
Oh, for sure. And that's very
I think
true.
we all agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bones aren't there yet because they're just doing surgery, right? They're working on it. It's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move into something else if we're cool, just to move on to the next one. It was tempering items brought by Lucky. You brought this one up. So tempering items, right? Should temper items even brick in the first place? Should there be something in the game like a super rare material that you can get access to, you find, it allows you to reset your tempers? Or another concept, what about reducing the overall item power? So you like continuously retemper this thing, lowering your item by 5 item power every time you try because you're overheating the object, but you're trying to make it good. Got to be a bit of a kiss curse here. What do you guys think about tempering today? What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so
You go ahead.
I suggested this topic, and I tried to think about it and articulate my thoughts on what I think should be, the best result of this. Our items are a journey now, right?
Yes.
Items, I really like that items are a journey, but the journey has to end somewhere, in my opinion. And what items are a journey has become now in Diablo 4 is that your journey just never ends. It's almost like the Paragon system in Diablo 3, but put into your items. Now, you can't get 100% perfect items. It's just never going to happen. And without any sort of definitive end, it's just going to be, okay, now all I'm doing is masterworking over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until I hit all of my 3 perfect masterworks on the perfect, affix, and that takes forever to do. If you're going to add in another element to that where you say, okay, now you can reset your tempers, and it's going to take you another 20 hours to go reset your tempers. The tempers vary very significantly in Diablo 4, and you're just going to keep re-rolling until you get a max roll of your ideal temper, and like you're never going to just like have your gear and just be okay with your gear. And I don't know, like when I think of Diablo 2, is like once I had my gear, and then it was a matter of me just like getting better at the game or doing something a little bit differently or finding efficiencies here and there, and like your skill came out rather than just how much time can you put into the game, because that's going to be 100% of what dictates how strong you are, how good you are. And that's just maybe a philosophical thing that I differ from maybe other people, or what they want to get out of ARPGs. If you just want to blast nonstop, and like the system currently is a pretty good one. But I also think that for tempering specifically, like actions should have consequences. And I think that, through tempering, we have similar systems like it in like PoE or Project Diablo 2, where you corrupt an item and that's it. Like my action has a consequence. If I decide to temper again, if I decide to re-roll that affix I already got on my tempering, I could lose it. And that, like, it needs to be that's a real thing. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think more definitive ends to the life cycle of items is actually a good thing, and then I could just focus on playing the game and not okay, I need to re-roll this item 1,000 more times, to improve my stats on it by 3% or something like that. And it's just not rewarding to me.
Unfortunately, my item journey ends with most of those when I see an item drop with 3 greater affixes, because my anxiety kicks in and I'm like, well, shit, I got to temper this thing, and that's getting bricked. So, so it's like you find a great item and immediately it's like, well, it's got to survive the tempering process. I feel like that's where it is. I don't re-roll stats on them. Like, I don't do anything but, like, the first thing we do, roll to see if you even get. It's not just a range of those tempers. It's like to see if you even get the specific abilities that you want, especially if you built a sorceress this season and tried to do it on a sorceress where you have 5 different abilities for, that can possibly roll in 2 different things that you need. It's like, yeah, good luck. You're going to brick everything. Like, it's just the odds say that you're just going to brick everything that you find, so you're not going to get those things that you might need for your build to go to the next level. So, like, I think it's a good start. It's a good start. I like the ending of an item journey somewhere where you have to settle on a range. The gripe that I have with it, though, is the fact that you may not even get the abilities that you want at all, and you might not even have really a fair shake at getting the abilities that you want with 5 shots at tempering on it.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of good points here. So the way that I approach this subject about, like, people are saying, should we change tempering, is the first thing I do is I zoom way out. I zoom out, and Diablo is now giving items some kind of path that you take from them, and they are trying to build some consequences of your actions into the game. High level, those ideas are amazing. So the first thing is you get like a double thumbs up from me for starting this process. Items are a journey, and there needs to be some kind of consequences. I think their current implementation is not ideal. We do need consequences, but it's kind of like Cooley was alluding to. Let's think about the process of an item. So we have tempering, we have the re-rolling, we have the gems, and we have the masterworking, and we have the imprinting. The gems and the re-rolling and the imprinting are foregone conclusions. You farm up, you can do it. The masterworking, a lot of people, I don't think, even target the triple hit on the perfect affix. You get like the first level, and then you just go with it. So I even think masterworking is more forgiving than tempering. But tempering is like the first step, and I think it's 7 chances
7, yeah.
to even hit 2 things to even start the item's journey is not right. And so the way that I would explain this, the way that I always try to think about this, is if I'm going to the Blizzard board of directors and trying to say, it's like, okay, you guys want people to play. The only thing that matters is fun. Let's compare. Okay, so I get a triple greater affix item. I'm so excited. I feel anxiety. I'm not excited, as Cooley said, because now I have to temper it. I brick it very, very often. Now let's look at Last Epoch. When I get a legendary potential item, I'm going to slam something into it. And for some reason, that feels more fun and less bad than tempering, because I'm only going to make it more powerful. And if I brick it, well, at least I still have a decent item. I can use it to farm the other ones. It's not really true. If you brick your tempering, you have lost such a colossal amount of damage right at the start of the item. You probably won't even replace it with your shitty one that has the right temperings. And then when I look at Path of Exile, there's so many little meticulous steps to it, and the upgrades are so incremental that it really is a journey, because it's only at the very end where Lucky said, and at least in Path of Exile, where you can actually say, okay, I made the perfect item. Now do I want to corrupt it and see if I can hit, the ultimate headhunter with the whatever it is, the 2 implicits or whatever. So in general, that was a good attempt by Blizzard. It's not even close to the worst thing that I've seen implemented in Diablo 4. But tempering has a problem in that it's the first step. It's so crazy important that it's almost undermined most of the uniques in the game. And it's too brutal in the very beginning. So that's the way that I would phrase it and have the dev team look for a solution. But one final point, the thing that's very critical that Lucky made, the thing that you can't get rid of is your actions need to have a consequence. But don't brick my awesome item at the beginning before I've even done anything with the item.
That's a
Good point.
really good point. Yeah.
So I guess like to open up this a little bit more, the concept to you guys, do you think Diablo could start to resurrect a fix for this position where there's a rare item that you could go deep in the pits 100 plus, and then you might actually acquire this thing that allows you to reset the temper so you don't just lose that triple GA, or that bricked first step doesn't really happen because, hey, guess what? You found that thing to make it a little bit better. For my position here, I don't mind the temper process because I like the Kiss Curse, but I know it's not great. It's just a start, right? And I'm willing to start the system. But I don't know that I love the idea of a rare item allowing me to just get out of jail free card. But do you guys think there could be something called, I don't know, Diablo's Sweet Magic Box, and you pick it up and bang, it resets your temper to 0? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think another problem with that is kind of like what Rack said, is like, where is it coming in the life cycle of not only the item but your progression? If you're bricking your items, you're not going to be able to get to the item if it's in like the late stage pits, and people are all going to have to look up meta builds just to get this item so I can make my item for the class I want to play, and it's going to force you into, you know, playing maybe a class or a build you don't want to play, and then it's really tough. It's really difficult to say, you know, where I think reevaluating where you do have this like bricking system is really the best option here. And with this, the life cycle of an item, like items taking so long, an adverse effect of it has been, we can't just re-roll to another class so easily. It takes so long to like actually make these items. Before, you just threw a whole set of items on and you could play any other build in the game. But now it's like, oh, if I want to try a new build to go get this item, I'm going to have to do this whole process over again. I'm going to have to temper and brick half the items that I need for this other build variant. And then I've got to masterwork them all. And it's going to take me so long to even try to respec to play a build that would be capable of going so deep into the pits, because not every build's going to be able to do it. That it's very counterintuitive to like being able to try new builds. This new items are a journey system. I do like it, but as a theory crafter who likes to try a lot of different builds, it has handicapped me a little, or just it takes me a lot more time to be able to go and try out a new build now with how long items take to make and craft. But that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, and think about what people are doing last too, right? We're masterworking, and a lot of times we're blowing through materials, just re-rolling, like Rack said, trying to get that good first like buffed roll on 1 or 2 abilities, and then you kind of finish it. Like that seems like a good item journey end and an essential soft bricking of an item, right? Like where you've spent so much gold and so many materials, like, and this is how you feel after you've have obtained the tempering, you know, that you need. Netcoded said in your chat, Barricade, just remove tempering limit, like problem solved.
But that's not it.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it.
Just real quick, you're talking about having fun in Diablo 4 and the item journey. And when I hear the conversation, which is great so far, the item journey isn't necessarily fun because of the weight that it applies to you. You can't get out of town because you got to spend 10 years making that sword right, or else your bricked build doesn't work. So I love the item journey too. It sounds like a good way to go, but it sounds to me like from what we're hearing, it's like actually not fun because it's actually more restrictive, which is kind of interesting to hear.
So my thought on it was that so imagine this, right? Right now we have a soft limit on how many times we can temper something, right? What if,
7, yeah.
thinking about what people do last in the item part of the journey and the consequences that exist, you know, riddle me this. What if there was just a monetary in-game gold tax for retempering, or retempering an item, and then there's a hard limit on how many times you can reset your masterworking, right? So like think of that. Now you have basically the full item that you need, but you can only reset the masterworking 5 times. Like, and if you brick it then, like, and you
I
don't get
wanna
what
be
you
rude,
want.
but I think I hate it.
Really?
I don't know. We're putting more restrictions on the item journey. It's less of a journey and more of a stop. It's like I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
So
Oof.
so I completely understand where the idea comes from of, hey, a very rare material, you get to pit 100 or pit 61, it starts having a chance to drop to reset an item's tempering, or and then we start to explore how do we actually change tempering and masterworking. If I was running the Diablo 4 team and someone came with me to the idea, let's drop a rare material to reset it, I would give that a double thumbs down. And the reason why is you are not fixing the core problem. We identified the problem of tempering is
Yeah.
first. You brick it all the time. It's just creating anxiety, and all that remains. And now you have to go farm this rare material. That I want them to solve the problem. Now, so let me give you an idea. And this would apply more to tempering, but not to masterworking. So I'm not saying this is the best idea, but let's say for tempering in the end game, you reduce the number of tries tremendously. Instead of 7, let's say it's 2 or 3. And when you roll tempering, let's say you roll natural finesse, right? That's that generic damage one. It rolls all of them. All of them. It rolls close, distant, whatever, and then you have to choose one. But you have barely any tries. So you roll it and you're hoping for close, and you get a minimum roll of close, and then you get a decent percent damage roll. And you're like, well, I guess I'll take the close for now. You roll it the second time, and then you get like a little bit better of close. You're like, okay, I'll go with that. And then you don't get on the third try, last try, you don't get the better close, but you get a perfect percent damage roll. And you're like, all right, well, I need to make a decision here. And then you go with it. That at least, and the reason why a solution like that would be okay for tempering, but maybe not masterworking, is because tempering is first. The first step shouldn't be the most brutal step. Otherwise, you don't have a journey for items. If you break it at the start, you're screwed. So I'm okay with them taking a more relaxed approach like that to tempering, and I would be okay if they have a more severe approach to masterworking, because it's the end game thing. But to me, the whole progression thing is backwards, and I don't want them to implement a band-aid for a bad system. I want you to make the system fun, and I want it to make sense. It's not super fun right now, and it doesn't make sense at all.
I completely agree. I agree. The band-aid to the problem, I totally agree. Yeah. It's a great solution, what you just said, yeah. It feels like Last Epoch-esque, yeah, where you know what you're going to add. Like when you go for this process, something's getting in there that's kind of nice. You hope it's not damage to distant, right? But that's okay, and then you go, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and we've seen historically that this is the answer. It's empirical data. It's not guessing. Oh, sorcerers suck in the beginning because they can't survive. Okay, let's give them more access to barrier. Oh, and vulnerable and critical strike damage are everything. Oh, well, we can only apply vulnerable with Frost Nova. Let's try to give them more access to vulnerable. Oh, but now sorcerers can't survive because they can't get enough armor and resistances are bricked. Any kind of band-aid that they did doesn't solve it. You need to fix armor. You need to fix resistances. You need to fix vulnerable and critical strike damage. When we're running around picking up 900 yellows per hour, the only solution is stop making us pick 900 yellows per hour. I don't want a filter for my yellows. I want you to stop dropping me 900 yellows. You know what I mean? We've seen that these major rework solutions work and the band-aids don't.
Yeah.
Something that PoE does is like the crafting bench, which is, I think, similar in a sense where you can choose to use a little bit more of the resource that's required to craft or temper. And then you can, with that, increase your odds of sort of getting the temper that you want. And for people who are less or more risk averse, they may like to have that option of, okay, maybe it's going to take me a little bit longer to farm up these materials to start my tempering process. But I know that if I use 10 times the amount of tempering materials, maybe I could get a 50% better chance of getting the temper I actually want, as opposed to just a shot in the dark, random. I have no control over my destiny. RNG, take the wheel, whatever I get, I get. And I think we're all different. We all have different levels of risk aversion. And I think you should be able to play how you want. Like, you should just have more options of playing the game how you want to play. If you like, it doesn't have to be complete RNG every single time. Like, there are ways to go about it that are equitable, that could make sense and just give you a better chance of getting the desired result that you want, but it's going to cost you whatever that is.
I agree. Yeah, totally agree. So again, just good segue here. He's talking. So Rax brought up about, I don't want to pick up 900 items. And in one of our little overview things here, I wrote down game, like quality of life stuff, loot filter. I put obvious. I think we tried less items. It didn't feel like that when I got there. I'd still like a loot filter. I understand that I'm going to need to get some resources in the game, but I still think Diablo 4 needs one. I think we all agree. Maybe we don't, and you could speak up if you don't think the game needs a loot filter. Yeah? Everybody on board for a loot filter? We all want one? Loot filters are good?
We even got a special guest that wants the loot filter.
I see. Yeah. Doggy treat the loot filter.
Everyone wants a loot filter, even the dogs.
Right?
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so loot filters. I think we deserve it now. I do think that the take was right. Itemization changes feel good. But here we go. What do you guys think about character-specific stash tab and then shared stash tabs? We saw this in other Diablo titles. This way, it's not so jam-packed. And I'm going to throw another one in there. So character-specific stash tab, and then loot Tetris. Why the hell is my two-handed sword the same size as my ring? I like old school. We're playing a fantasy game, right? That sword's big. It's not the same size as a ring. I know a lot of people don't like that take, and that's okay.
I think you just lost 1,000 followers there minimum. That was just the initial loss.
That's fine because we get a better game overall. I'll be okay. I can weather the storm, right? So what are your thoughts? What do you guys think?
More stash tabs, the better. I don't care what you make them. Make them character specific. Make them let me do what I want with my stash tabs. Gives me more of them and let me do whatever I want with them. Yeah.
Okay. Would you buy 5 more tabs for $5?
I would. I would, but I don't think that's. I don't think you should have to in Diablo 4, a game that you pay full price for. And then that's just me personally. I would buy them, but Blizzard, don't do that to the player base, please. Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, character specific stash tabs sound great. I always like the inventory Tetris, but I'm cool with how it is either way. I think adding some sort of depth or some sort of visual, greater visual to the larger items or whatnot is cool, but unpopular opinion, I know.
As I was just give me a stash tabs, any flavor. I'll take this character. I'll take anything. Give me anything. Making a Tetris thing just stops me from blasting. If you stop me from blasting, my fun goes down. You can always argue it from a fun going down perspective. I get it, the immersion, but I don't want immersion. I want to blast.
I threw in the quality of life ones just as like a cover because I think that's like stuff we got to hear. That way we think about it. This is one that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's not a death sentence or anything like that. It's just I'm very passionate about the lack of creativity in uniques, and I'll describe what creativity kind of feels like. Fractured Winter Glass, yeah. You actually have other spells that conjure other spells. It was a great new thing. You can make a fireball bounce. That's kind of cool, but all right. I think the game could be better, and I know they're working on a lot of stuff, but I want to hear what you guys think about the lack of creativity in uniques and maybe implementing it and maybe something like this. What if you had an item? Because right now, first of all, the problem, uniques have a hard time standing up against legendaries with tempering masterworking. But what if you had use of interplaying between the systems of paragon boards like glyphs, magical glyphs that nobody uses, and a unique that you equip. And if you have that magical glyph on a board and that unique equipped, you get a set power. This way you don't rely on full itemization to make your character feel better, but you interplay between the systems to make this other advantage happen. So as an example, I wear gloves called gloves of, inner flame. And whenever I cast Hydra in the same place twice, Hydra becomes a flame dragon that moves around, and it becomes Tiamat's champion. And it's out for 30 seconds, okay? And I only get that if I make very specific decisions to embrace that fantasy. What do you guys think about a concept of uniques are underpowered, not really selling the fantasy? And what are your thoughts on what I just throw out there? What do you think?
I think you're
Whoever
on a
wants-
way different creative planet than most people, Barricade, with ideas that are outworldly. Are you an alien? What
No,
is this?
curious. Yeah, no. Nope.
You touched on a
Yeah,
lot of
that's-
things. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Whatever you want to go on. Go ahead.
So I love the idea, and you and I are definitely on the same page here. When I was back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, I got to try a super, super, super insanely early version of Diablo 4 to give them feedback. Wrote a huge document. And actually, a lot of what I wrote was almost exactly what Barricade just said. Not so much like the interconnection between systems. That's like the next level. Hopefully, we get that in like the expansion. I would love anything like that. But the reason why Path of Exile is fun to me is I'm looking for a mage blood. I'm looking for a headhunter. They're so rare. I'm never going to find them, but maybe one day I can hope to find enough currency to buy one of these, and then when you find them, you're an absolute god. I am so sick of seeing legendary powers and uniques that say stuff like basic skills give 10% damage, 30% attack speed. This is the way that I phrase it. You like Blizzard used to be at the top of the world for like designing games, right? And everyone has a different opinion, but a lot of people think that they aren't there anymore. So you probably grew up as a kid just dreaming of being a developer for Blizzard and working on World of Warcraft or Diablo, da 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 da. Okay, so we finally get there, and I understand there's upper management, you're like shackled, corporate red tape all the time. But when I see stuff like 30% attack speed, my question is that all that you've got? Like you went through your whole life wanting to work for Blizzard, and that's what we have? What I want is something like, you have a unique where if you lay hydras down and then you cast a firewall, the firewall goes to your hydras, picks them up, and turns it into like as this is actually one of my ideas, exactly similar to what Barricade just said. And then your firewall is just like a turret for hydras that follows you around and also solves the problem with the fact that the loot spawns behind you. You have this like fire dragon that you're conjuring with this unique. Like again, it goes back to when you overdo something. We need to overdo it too much when Whirlwind is hitting for 10 trillion damage. That's not good for the game. But in general, as long as you don't overshoot it too far, when you make something godly like that, people love it. It makes the game fun. So I think this is one of the absolute most critical things for Diablo 4 going forward. You've got to make uniques that do crazy ass shit that give you dopamine when you actually find them. Similar to the Uber uniques, like the only two Uber uniques that drop where I actually really feel like I got something are Shaco and Ring of the Starless Skies. And Ring of the Starless Skies used to blow. They had to change it. But even then, finding a Shaco or a Ring of the Starless Skies is nothing compared to a Mage Blood or a Headhunter. It's not the same. It's not the same level as finding a Bear Rune in Diablo 2.
Well, those two items you mentioned, they're not changing any. It's just more damage, right? So they're not even actually changing what's happening in the game itself. Maybe Starless Skies change how you play a little bit, but it just has damage. It's not dynamic. It's not special.
Right. Well, look at Flame Weavers this season, where even just that mechanic, where laying down a firewall and shooting your fire bolt through it changes how the game changes how you play the game. You make entire setups in the early game or even late game around that, and even just having a simple mechanic like that to literally alter the skills that you cast in the order that you cast them makes for interesting gameplay.
What sort of spawned all this, like, I guess, was that I do a lot of community games. I play with people all the time, and I'm on a sorceress, and I'm throwing down firewall, or I'm making these conjurations come up, and it would be so cool to have, like, if all four of us were playing, right? You guys, anybody on a whirlwind barb, you whirlwind through my flame wall, your weapons are on fire. I empower the way you play, which makes you want to play with me, which makes the team dynamic so much more interesting. I know Diablo 4 is not there, but I'm willing to say, like, if we get there, then that's so sick. Like a chain build on a rogue or excuse me, like a barb where I chain them up and then the rogues there drops caltrops. They're live bleeding and I could drag them through. Like that kind of stuff is where I want to see an ARPG go. And so I had to throw this in for today's conversation because I just think it could make the game so much more diverse and better. I don't know that we're necessarily close, But I think it gets so much better for all of us if, in a fantasy perspective, that's where the game goes.
Yeah,
Can
I
I-
mean, it's a role-playing game, right? If you have
Yeah.
a role on a team that you're playing and you're buffing the team, I think that's also something big that's missing from Diablo 4. Right now, one of the coolest builds that one of my friends was amped up about was when he saw that you could build a support barb, a Z barb as they called it,
Yeah.
in D3 for this season, and he could just chain people in pits. He could just pixel people, and
You
he's
just
like,
gotta
"You
find your
guys solve the
friends."
problem."
Yeah.
That's his role. That's his job. And just imagine if every class had something like that, where you're like, I can't kill, but what I can do is help my team, help the the pack killer. I can help that person, and then when we get to the boss, there's a boss killer. I need to help that guy. Like,
Yep.
there's a role that you play on a team. I think if those builds existed and could significantly amplify the damage that another player does or whatnot, is huge. Adds to that group mechanic and gameplay. Would be nuts.
Can I admit something, Rax? Were you finished with your thought when you were talking about the Uber Uniques? I apologize. Was there?
No, I have one final
Yeah.
comment, but it's separate, so go ahead.
Oh, well, so my admission here is when they started talking about season 4, one of the notes in the campfire chats and in the chats they did with us was Blizzard said that we're gonna double the amount of uniques that you get in season 4, and then they showed the fractured winter glass and they showed Scoundrel's Kiss ring for the rogue, and these were all uniques that were changing the way skills were, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're going through and doubling the amount of uniques that we already have in the game. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what this game needs so much. You're doubling like the cool items, and they're going to be neat, like Fractured Winter Glass, Scoundrel's Kiss. And then it's like, actually, instead of getting one new unique this season, you're getting two new uniques this season, and that's doubling the amount of uniques. And I just like kind of face palmed, and I don't know if anyone else interpreted it that way. If it was just me, I was being too hopeful. But like, that's what this game needs. You need to just, I feel like it's so lacking in the amount of uniques that we even have that are even viable. I was so encouraged, doubling the amount of uniques for season 4, and it just meant we got 2 instead of 1, and they need to double.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, they were good. They were really cool.
Yeah.
But we need more. I don't know. I think.
Yeah. So I'm not a video game developer, so I always have to keep myself in check here because it's certainly way harder than anyone thinks that it is. But if I was in charge of the Diablo 4 team, say like the expansion, I was having like a sit down with like the class designers. I wanted to wipe slate clean for a moment and black, just wipe everything that you know. And here are the class that we have in the game. Now, I want all of you to go back to your desk, and I want you to write down 3 crazy things that all of these could do in the game. So, Mr. Druid, man, I want you to go back, and I want you to look at Lightning Storm, and what's the craziest thing Lightning Storm could do? Like, make lightning storms all throughout the ceiling, and it starts electrocuting and chaining through dungeon, or whatever's the craziest shit, the craziest shape shifting things you can come up with. I want you to come back, and then I want to look at it as a team, and I want to see what are the craziest fantasies that we could put in the game. And then once we've landed on those, let's find a way to put them into the game. And no, I don't think the only way to build it into the game is just by, here's a unique that you have to go find, and now it does the cool thing. It needs to be a balance. Is it legendary powers? Is it a unique? Is it a special tempering? Is it a crazy interaction between this glyph and this paragon board? But I want to see way crazier things in the game, because the only metric that I'm trying to drive up is fun. If fun goes up, everybody wins. And this would be like my main directive here of how crazy can we make the game? And I think they've been kind of going in that direction. I really wish that they would double down on this way more.
Yeah, I liked another thing you said, Barricade, a lot with the Paragon interconnectivity with the uniques. That's such a cool idea, man. I really like that one because right now I look at my Paragon board. I don't know if it's the same on other classes. I play a lot of Rogue. Blizzard says we're going to get rid of all those damage on Tuesday affixes from all your items. Why is my whole Paragon board just other damage on Tuesday affixes? Why is that my only option in my Paragon board is just to get damage when something's affected by your trap, damage when something is chilled. You know, it's my whole Paragon board has not been updated to this new philosophy of the game. So an idea like you gave with almost you're creating like a pseudo set with your uniques and Paragon is really cool. I think sets in general, though, I've been so scared of sets coming to Diablo 4, let me tell you, like for so long. But I think what you propose is like almost this set idea that I would love and welcome, and I don't want those green set items in the game, but unless those are like your new things that you're just pairing with one Paragon glyph, maybe. I would appreciate those as sets, but I don't want 6 of my items to be determined for me, and that's going to be best in slot. Like your idea was great. I loved it, and Paragon board needs a rework too. I think, and that should come soon.
I don't want all of my characters' adventuring knowledge to translate to power in a game fantasy where it's only dictated by the sword that I use or the cool shoes that I got off that Goblin King, right? And so the idea would be simply, just to expand it a little bit more, what if you could go into the Paragon board and like, once you found the Goblin King's boots and you equipped the kick skill and you had the Paragon glyph called, I don't know, Dominion, when you kick something, you kick it basically so hard that you have it fight for you. It's so disoriented, it doesn't know where the hell it is, and it fights for you for 10 seconds. That's player power. That's not necessarily a stat on your character, but it translates into a defensive layer. It's an offensive appreciation. Like, it's pretty cool. And if you shout, this guy's critting too, and like you start kicking the shit out of people in the room and they all work for you, right? It's like you become the Goblin King yourself. So like, it's just not about like Rax was kind of alluding to. I don't think if all these guys went in the room and he's like, hey, what's the best cool lightning skill? 20% faster lightning strikes. High five, guys. We're going to lunch. Like, that's not it. It's got to be like, lightning is so erratic. It's like pulling people together. It's like, holy shit. Like, I'm bringing the guys together. Like, outside of like, whatever the skill that they have now, Petrify, where you pull them all in. What if they're so scared they turn to stone and they take 50% increased damage, or like they turn to stone and you become like this Medusa thing? If you face them, they kind of erode over time. Like, do cool shit, and that's kind of where that idea came in. And they're doing cool shit now, but I want even like more. And I think we're all hearing it here. More on the top and the deep end, then bring it down so we can actually not be overpowered, right? That's where that whole conversation came in. So
let's be cognizant of time. I know Rax might have wanted to cover the Xbox Live thing. Are you good on time, Rax? Do you want to do final thoughts?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm down for whatever. Yeah, but it is going on now. We might get some Diablo expansion news. That makes me happy.
Me too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope Mephisto's in there. If he's not, that's twice. That's 2 strikes. It's like, come on now, give me something. Give me a primeval.
How about one thing we'd like to see? One thing we'd all like to see in the expansion announcement, or coming soon.
Endgame.
Coolly.
Okay.
I would just like to see damage over time effects stop killing my player. All right. It's the only Diablo game in the history of Diablo games where poison kills me and it doesn't won me. All right. Just fix it. And I don't even care what you do after that. All right. Diablo would be good too. Throw him in there.
Expansion. I want a social layer. I want a group finding strategy that works to bring people together. That's what I want. That's what I'd like. Yep. That's me. I gotta say thank you. Oh, go ahead. What do you got? Go ahead.
Oh no, I don't know. Rune words. Something cool. Something cool to
Rune words.
They have to do it right, but yes, some cool itemization thing just to give us another option besides this item journey that we're on. That maybe you could go another route with it, and not everything is just so linear. Not every item has the same journey. Maybe you can do something a little different and get a really good item out of it as well.
Didn't they originally talk about that when they first started up with D4? They were talking about doing runes in a really different way.
Yeah, they announced rune words, and runes were not the same. They were a prefix and a suffix, and we gave them feedback. Like, first of all, the system sounds like it sucks. Second of all, it doesn't sound like rune words. Why did you call it something that it isn't? And then they just scrapped the entire idea. But they like the idea of rune words. I think we might get it in the expansion. I don't have any spoilers. I don't know anything.
I
but
hope we
I think the probability is pretty high, actually.
That's awesome.
How dare
I
you?
hope
I'm
so too.
standing up. I can only be so erect.
Maybe
in
we'll
this
hear about it
position.
today.
Serious?
Hey,
It-
No, that's
I-
insane. Go ahead.
I think
go
it's
ahead,
high
Nick.
I think it's a high possibility.
awesome.
Yeah, two things we didn't really get to dig into that I'd love to, but that's time, right? We didn't talk about runes, rune word implementation, what that means for Diablo. We didn't
It's
talk
good.
about what. Yes, I think so overall. What
There we
does
go.
Endgame mean for everybody? Because I hear the term all the time, but Endgame for me was constantly farming one boss for loot, and I did that for freaking decades. So that's now changed in the landscape of ARPGs. Unfortunately, running out of time because of stuff going on, but it would always be interesting to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this stuff. And I appreciate you guys taking the time, and even replying was fucking insane. And you guys are great, and don't stop being amazing because we all love what you guys do. So thank you for that.
Hey, thanks Barricade for putting this all together, man. This was awesome coming together, chatting with you fellas, and having a grand old time on the day of our Lord, talking about devilish games.
Yeah. Sure, no problem.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure. Enjoyed it.
No
Likewise,
problem. Now,
thank
there's-
you.
No problem, Lucky. Yeah, and guys, just really quick, Blizzard did give each one of us a accelerated battle pass key to give away to our communities for listening in today. So, however you want to go ahead and distribute those, let rip. I'm going to do it just after this, but thank you all so very much, man. I'm going to wrap my stream in about 10 minutes from now, but just thanks again. Appreciate the time.
You guys are gods. Have a good one. Let's get some expansion news.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
see you
Take care.
guys.
GG,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thanks
Bye.
again.
Later.
All right. Let's turn that off. Do you want to pull up the Xbox stuff? And we can maybe talk a little bit about what happened. I'm kind of curious now if there's going to be an expansion announcement. Sorry, my camera's not showing. Thank you, everyone, for following. My camera will be up. What is going on here? This work? Okay. Why am I super small? Oh my gosh, I'm so tiny. Can you hear this or no? Okay, how about that? I'll turn it down a little bit. If Diablo 4 comes on, I'll switch to it.
We have a proposal for you.
And I need my Twitch chat. Mini Lucky? Yeah, it was super tiny. Season 6 should be great. What about season 5? All right. We have 2 things to give away today. Are those graded Pokemon cards in the background? Yes, they are. PlayStation 5 copy of Diablo 4. Oh shoot, I think opening D4 just bricked everything.
It looks like we've got one.
All right, let's draw the winner. Okay, exclamation point PS5. Yo, what's up, Grievance? Can enter for PC too. It's only a PS5 copy.
Subscribed for 40 months.
So exclamation point
Hey, yo.
PS5. I'll give you 10 seconds. and we'll draw that.
Call now to join Harry and the over 17 million vault dwellers already on board. And let's keep those numbers climbing.
Exclamation point PS5. And then we also have an accelerated battle pass to give away too.
Strong community can weather
So you get a lot of cool cosmetics and stuff
Line Valley neighbors in Vault 63.
with that. So okay, closing entries, drawing a winner. Can you all see this? Yes. Okay.
Preserve this appellation.
Good luck.
Yes,
Jizzled.
Valley is a stunning portrait
Jizzled
in regard
has won the physical copy. Jizzled.
to its majestic
Yes. Okay, you're here. Cool. I'm going to message you. It's a physical copy, so we have to mail it. So I'm going to send you a DM on Twitch. And respond with your address, and we'll mail that out to you. Congrats on winning.
76.
And then we have one more giveaway. Physical D4 copy for PS5. All right. I sent you a DM. You can respond to that. Keep it off screen. Don't type it in Twitch chat or anything. And then, all right, we're going to start another giveaway to do an accelerated battle pass that we got from Blizzard in honor of the podcast. We got a battle pass to give away. So this will be, you claim this in game. You might be able to use it next season if you already have a battle pass. So I think you just claim it, and then you can claim it in game whenever. You can choose not to claim it this season. All right, exclamation point battle pass. I'll let you know when it's up. That was really nice of Blizzard to give us those.
And every year, an expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission.
Okay, battle pass giveaways going on.
So she can never.
Did we miss any Diablo announcements? Does anyone know if the expansion was already revealed here? I don't think I see anything. All right, so yeah, exclamation point battle pass for that battle pass giveaway. Let me reset this. What do you guys think of the podcast, guys and girls? Message, can you add me on BNet? Okay. Jizzle, do you have a Discord?
Do you think there's a chance my mom's still alive?
If your mom's anything like you had, she'll keep fighting till we find her.
I hope so. It's just hard to believe this is all really happening.
All right, join here. Hop in the Discord.
Mama never told you
Great ideas. Hope Blizzard's listening.
weavers.
Probably, right? I mean, Rax was streaming. They're usually watching Rax. Yeah, I think season 4 was a great step in the right direction, but there's a lot of stuff. You're enjoying the rapid fire build? Thank you.
I gotta drop you off fast.
Thank you, Karafinkus.
I got you out of that tree. You said you helped me find my mama.
I ain't have a disposition to be gator snacks.
Well, me neither.
If we're gonna go on, we gotta get rid of him.
I'm all ears.
There's a church up a ways with a big bell. Go on and ring it.
You want to make him come running?
Tom can't abide the sound of the bell. Some church folks once tried to
Yeah, join the Discord and send me a DM,
if you ring
Jizzled.
he might skedaddle.
You better not skedaddle.
Go on now, scoot. I'll pick you up yonder after to go find your mom.
Trifling ass mudcat.
Hey,
What do you guys? What do you all want to see in the expansion announcement? Like, what would be your number one thing that you'd like to see?
Gotta move quickly now.
Cal level, Diablo. I thought someone would say that on the call. Uber bow.
Wait. That
Already did. Check. Okay.
the gator?
I got it.
Oh, hell no.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to send me. Yeah, okay. Cool. Get me over the address and then we can send that over. PvP event sounds like Battlegrounds or something. Yeah, I think it would be really fun to have like a battleground like PvP event where you kind of queue up and you all start with nothing. Like the battle royales were in PD2, if anyone that remembers those. You start out with your character, he just has a weapon, and then you go and you kill each other and you kill mobs, and the mobs drop gear. If you kill another player, their items all drop, and you could put those on and wear those. And it's just like a fresh start every time. You're going to have to do a different build every time based on what items you find. I think a game mode like that could be so much fun. There are a lot of really good ideas too. Even the playing field, yeah, and that's the thing. It would have a low barrier of entry, right? So anyone could just pick up and play it. I think that would be a lot of fun.
A boat and a church are just meals for Tom, they say.
And I think it actually plays well in like the ARPG landscape.
In darkness, she slumbers and dreams. And for countless generations, mortal heroes have risen to defend her.
What game is this? World of Warcraft? I guess, yeah, all the Blizzard stuff is gonna be in this. What are they announcing here?
Beasts of primordial horror. Though they fought amongst themselves, their enmity following them.
So not news. I wonder if the Diablo 4 stuff's just gonna be. That what you play now, Cougs? Cougs plays Hearthstone duos with me.
Their courage never faltered, even upon the very threshold.
Okay, exclamation point battle pass. Let's give away this this battle pass.
While new hope blooms on the horizon, the final battle draws near.
Still waiting for you to install TFT. My only game now is Hearthstone BG duos with Lucky. I see you playing right now, Cougs. Yeah, must not be playing duos. Okay, exclamation point battle pass if you haven't already. Guess I should fix that command because it still says PS5. Oh, we're in an ad break. Is tanking your duos rating? Are you playing duos without me?
Awakens.
All right.
So long denied me shall be mine.
We'll pin that. We'll wait for the ad break to end, and then we'll give away the battle pass. The War Within. That's soon. I wonder if we'll get a date for Diablo 4 expansion. Kind of want to play some D4.
Listen up, Jack.
I think I'd rather play D4 and maybe have this up in like the corner. What do you think? And then if something D4 comes up, we can just switch over to it.
This mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. The clock is ticking.
Naked Snake.
This will be a sneaking mission. You must not be seen by the enemy. You must leave no trace of your presence. Is that clear? This kind of infiltration is the Fox unit's specialty. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked, just as your name implies.
I have to find my own weapons and equipment? Whose crazy idea was this anyway?
The mission rests entirely in your hands.
Refresh that.
Speak.
I haven't played any of the new event. I have been away for a long time. What's the best way to find these goblins, and are their rewards actually any good? What goblins? Okay, so they just like they just don't show up. Their bags can drop a lot. What does it drop in the bags specifically?
Virtuous mission now.
Nightmare dungeons with extra shrines. Nightmare dungeons and running around Helltides. What do the bags actually drop that's valuable? Like, this is kind of loud. Legendaries and unique with greater affixes? Really? So it's like guaranteed greater affixes from them? That sounds pretty good. Check Discord? Yeah, hold on one sec. Yes, that's perfect. That is perfect.
As long as Ooh is free, your world is in mortal peril.
So it drops a lot of uniques and a lot of greater affixes. Can you post your current build? Yeah, it's on max roll. I can pin it. Let's see. Let me clear these mobs real quick. grab you the max roll link. So the variant I'm using right now is the pit push variant.
I am a god too.
If you're a god, you're one of them. Why would I do anything to help someone I've sworn to kill?
If it's vengeance you want, I'll give it to you.
Yes, just go. Yeah, right. Thank you, Andy. Go to the pit push variant there. And I just pinned it. That's a video that has the planner in the description. Okay. This smaller. So this build right now, it basically just, I think I can kill the boss of tier 100 in one stagger a lot of the times. I haven't played since previous Thursday. We had I guess it's like a family emergency event kind of. We had a death in the family, and I was traveling a lot up to Boston, and we took 2 trips up, and I've just been either working or with family for the last basically 2 weeks. So that is why I've not been able to stream or haven't been making content. I haven't even been. Usually I'll still play even if I'm not streaming, but I have not played at all. But I am looking forward to the distraction of gaming again. And I'm excited to get back into it. Sounds like this event is actually pretty solid. Do the goblins always drop a bag, or is it just like one time thing? How's that work? Bring my Twitch chat up. Sorry for. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was my grandfather. So some of you may remember we did.
Moo.
Oh, wait. Okay. I hear cows.
Moo.
This has gotta be it. Wait, what? Where did I hear those cows from?
I could see the world differently.
I have no idea where all those cows just came from. A sub or something? I don't have a cow noise from a YouTube notification. No, I don't have a cow noise in anything. It was a sound alert? Oh, I thought it was gonna be the expansion. It didn't say a sound alert played. That's really funny. If it's a pack, you get a bag. Okay. So yeah, it was we did a fundraiser not long ago, a charity stream for Parkinson's. It was my grandfather that had Parkinson's. And we knew, and I had talked about it a little bit on that stream. I don't talk about it often, but that it was probably our last year that we had with him, and he did end up passing away. But it was this past week and this past weekend. I'd gone up to see him one last time, and then he passed, and then we went to the funeral. So it's just been a lot of traveling, a lot of driving, a lot of physical and mental exhaustion, and a pregnant wife on top of it. And it's been a lot that we've been dealing with, but we're past it now. And everyone is doing all right. I appreciate the words. Yeah, it's tough. This stream will not stay up, no matter what I do. It turn down the graphics, maybe. Oh, thank you, Metro.
With your skills.
What this world was really
Is
hiding.
that better?
I hope you're ready, Agent Dark.
Are you all seeing this?
Once you open this door.
Do you feel like rapid fire is the same? Seems like they broke it after the patch. It is still not functioning like it had. Mariaga, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for the Prime. I really appreciate that. So it sounds like to get the goblins then, we run Nightmare Dungeons with the increased shrine and just hunt for goblin or the greed shrines, which you get goblins from, in hopes of getting these bags that could potentially drop greater affix items.
As the game progresses. The creativity and talent of game creators are what make our industry unique. And I'm incredibly proud of our game.
That seems like,
our team.
I don't know, a lot of work for like I don't know the chances I get an upgrade for my greater affix items. I don't know if it's likely that I would do that. Like that likely that I would actually get an upgrade. And if I'm doing Nightmare Dungeons, then I'm not getting like materials to masterwork my items, which I feel like is going to be the more like guaranteed improvement that I could get from my build. So I still have to masterwork some of my stuff all the way up to 12. Better on a speed farming build, yeah. I could try it out with like the Heartseeker Rogue. That was kind of nice. Still loving rapid fire. Yeah, so someone had asked, you know, if it's different after the change. It is different. Oh, this is it. This is D4. All right, D4 announcement.
Here is the opening cinematic for the game. Let's take a look.
Turn my game sound off.
Boy, young one, are you all right? Nirel? Oh, you're not well. Please, please.
Looks like a
Please,
soulstone.
let me help you.
Stay away from me! Nirel!
It's a blue soulstone.
Is that how I raised you? No, Mother.
Mother. Who would that be? Who was a blue soulstone?
I must get to Akarat's tomb. But look at you. You're killing yourself.
And Daryl?
I don't know.
Wait, I missed.
How much longer I can.
No.
I'm here, little magpie.
Mephisto? I thought Mephisto was
I missed you
Mephisto's soulstone. Yeah, I guess Mephisto's soulstone's blue. That's right.
But now, I need you to give up. No, no, no! Of course it's you! You monster! No. No. You made a choice. And I warned you, little magpie. There would be consequences.
Diablo's is red, yeah. I mean, it's got to be Mephisto, right?
The stone.
We know that Mephisto is the main character for this expansion, right?
Maybe you're right. Maybe I could use some help.
Yeah, the Diablo cinematic, or the Blizzard cinematics in general, are just really high production value. Pretty intense. Start making movies, not games. I would absolutely go see a Diablo movie. So, no extra info.
Oh, right. Jew.
Looks like that was it.
So, you want to know all about heroes, do you?
Wait, what is this?
You have come to the right place. Because who better to tell you all about them than...
This isn't Diablo.
Perhaps the greatest hero of them all. Yeah? There he is, in all his finery.
No info. We got no date. Okay, we got possibly Mephisto. All right, yeah, it's over. I'm not gonna continue watching this. But let's draw the battle pass. Exclamation point battle pass. Last chance. We're gonna draw it here. Let me get that up. Exclamation point battle pass. This is accelerated battle pass giveaway. If you already claimed one this season, then I think you could claim this for another season. It's just like goes into your account and it says, do you want to claim this battle pass or not? So I think it's probably worth it to grab. So you'll want to enter in. We'll give it 10 seconds and then we're going to close the entries and we're going to draw a winner and I will send you that code. My Discord, I crashed, I think. They launched that back up. Ooh. What's going on? Okay. Okay. Got the code. We're going to close the entries now and draw a winner. Devil's Dance 11529. Devil's Dance. Are you here? All right. Devil's Dance. I'm going to DM it to you on Twitch. So if you don't know how to claim it, it's going to be a code. You go in here. Why am I offline? You go in here and you go to redeem code. Let's see. Where'd it go? redeem code, and then you copy and paste the code I'm going to give you here. Redeem code, and then you'll get one battle pass that you can use, and probably can use it for any season, I believe. So, sending it over to you now. Congrats on the win, and enjoy. Devil's Dance, you want to? I'll need to do it at home. Okay. Are you able to confirm if you got the message? You might have to do at home. You might be able to see it on the app as well if you're on mobile. But if you're not able to see it for whatever reason, we could do it through Discord. But it should be in your Twitch DMs now. So I'm winning the battle pass. You got it? All right, cool. All right, awesome. So we got to see the trailer. It was just an opening cinematic. It was pretty cool. We didn't get any info. We did the podcast, gave away some cool stuff. I think I'm gonna cut the stream now, so we'll maybe raid over to one of our other podcast participants if either of them are, if anyone's still going. Looks like Rax is. I think Barricade said he was ending, so we'll raid Rax. That's not spelled right. Rax and Terax, 1X at the end. Yeah, okay. All right, well, GG's. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. Hope the podcast was good. I'll have to watch it back and see. We got to touch on a lot of things. Ended a little shortly because of the Xbox thing, but we ended up covering a good amount of topics. It was a lot of fun. All right. See you later. Later, Cougs and Void here. And I'll catch you all later. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your weekend. Peace.